Fundy salmon are severely endangered, which is a little bit like how the farmers today must be feeling in this province. The only thing that stands between oblivion for Fundy salmon is the gene bank at DFO's Mataquac Fish Hatchery, which they intend to close. The only thing that stands between farmers and oblivion is their government, Madam Speaker, and the supports that they provide. Wolastoqey chiefs like Belgic Chief Justice Grubin have been raising the alarm on the salmon. One of the purposes of the New Brunswick Species at Risk Act is to provide for the recovery of wildlife species that are endangered and charges the minister to adopt a recovery strategy. In this case, the Fundy salmon face extinction if the DFO closes the gene bank at Mataquac. Will the Minister of Natural Resources do his legal duty and take over the Fundy salmon gene bank at Mataquac to keep the Fundy salmon from disappearing from the face of this earth?
I recognize the Minister of Natural Resources.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, and I thank the honourable member for his question. It is a concern for this government. My colleague, the Minister for Indigenous Affairs, and my colleagues at DNR, we've encouraged the federal government to re-engage with NB Power on this particular issue. We would encourage DFO to have those appropriate conversations with respect to that hatchery.
Je reconnais le chef du tiers parti.
Madam Speaker, the Department of Natural Resources has been leaning on the federal government as a crutch around the Fundy salmon for way too long when it comes to keeping those populations from being obliterated. Yet provincially, it's MB Power that built the Mataquac Dam with inadequate measures for fish passage. It's the government of New Brunswick who has licensed net pens in the Bay of Fundy to grow domesticated salmon who share their parasites and diseases with the wild Fundy salmon that overwinter in the outer Bay of Fundy. This is something DFO says puts them at risk. These are all things the province of New Brunswick has sanctioned. Belgic Chief Grubin has said DFO has given up on the Fundy salmon. Has the Minister of Natural Resources held talks with the Federal Minister for DFO and Environment to save the gene bank for Fundy salmon, or has he given up on them as well?
Je reconnais le ministre des Affaires autochtones.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, and thank you very much to the member opposite for the question, because it is a big concern for the Wolastoqey Nation. I've had a chance to speak with the WNNB, and they are very concerned the fact that the DFO is actually putting an end to the biodiversity program. We've been very clear with WNNB that we're encouraging the federal government to come back to the table, have discussions with First Nations to try and find a solution, to try and figure out what's the best path forward. I know DNR is actually following the file very closely, but again, we lend our voice to First Nations and ask the federal government to come back, to continue discussions and find a path forward that is sustainable and agreeable to everyone. Thank you very much, Madam.